is it a fact? Well, you can say that. You can believe in that. But let me tell you, many renowned scientists on Earth have said that it actually exists and will cross by the Earth. The position of the two planets at the crossing will be so close that the Earth's seismic and magnetic activities will be disrupted, leading to global-scale apocalypses, which will wipe out the majority of humanity as well as life on Earth. What's up, guys? This is JT at X Science, and for those who are still in denial of Planet X, many scientists, including astronomers, physicists, and the like, have spoken out directly or hinted at the existence of a rogue planet or a system of planets that is on a trajectory heading straight towards the Earth. For those who are not aware of the topic, we are talking about another planet in our solar system, or our binary solar system, with a star named Nemesis. This planet is called Planet X, NIBIRU, Wormwood, and many different names across times and culture. The one thing in common is that it periodically travels through our solar system, during which time it will cross with the Earth, and this will be a judgment day for you and me, but probably not for the elite. Of course, big governments and agencies are very well aware of this. In 1983, NASA made headlines on the Washington Post and the New York Times when it announced that the IRS infrared satellite had discovered Planet X lurking somewhere beyond Pluto. The strange thing is, 1 week later, NASA retracted all the announcements, and President Reagan made it part of the U.S. national security mandate and forbid any institution or agency to address this in public. The stranger thing is, since then, it is rumored that the US have been building secret underground shelters. Of course, they would not let the public know of what is coming, because how can you control a crowd when the crowd knows that they are coming to an inevitable doom? They, of course, keep us in the dark about the position of the shelters and keep it to themselves. It is even leaked that there is an underground rail system linking the capital to an underground shelter under the Denver airport. You can do research about it yourself if you don't believe me, but I have to warn you, there will be a lot of versions and distortion because, of course, they are supposed to be classified information. Russia and China are also rumored to have been building shelters and cities in preparation for war-ending events. Now you might be thinking, if a whole planet is heading towards Earth, how is it possible that nothing strange is happening? Well, that's because the authorities are hiding everything from us. One thing we can all notice is extreme climate events and the ice cap melting that have been attributed to global warming. The second thing is the unusual and dramatic increase in earthquakes and seismic activities around the world. We are of course told that they do not increase, but this is because the United States Geological Society lowered the magnitude scale by 1 and successfully underreported the number of unusually loud earthquakes. Volcanic eruptions has been on the rise as well. You can check out our video on our channels that we talk about the current eruption in Hawaii, which have been going on for 3 months already. Last but not least, this is not very commonly known, but many governments have been spraying substance into the atmosphere. I am not sure what these substances are, but what I know is that these things create a cover of clouds and mist look-alike. The purpose is quite clear. They are trying to hide something in the sky from the rest of the world. Now you have probably heard of the two suns phenomenon, and let me tell you, that is what they are trying to hide. The two suns phenomenon is not an optical illusion, but the second sun that we see is in fact the system of Planet X. From what we know, the sun is either a miniature star or a comet planet, as the famous Chilean astrophysicist Carlos Munoz Ferrada called it. This thing is said to be composed of a lot of iron oxide, and therefore it looks red. Therefore, as the system approaches, it would resemble a second sun in the sky. Now, speaking of Carlos Mundo Ferranda, he is very well known for having calculated correctly many natural events on Earth and in space. For example, in January 19th of the 1939, he forecasted that there would be a disastrous earthquake in Chile on the 24th of January of that same year. And guess what happened? It did happen. A huge earthquake shook Chile for 18 seconds, killing 40,000 people. He successfully calculated many other terrestrial extreme events. But that's not all. He even forecast correctly that Halley Comet's orbit would alter, and we would spend more time closer to the Sun in 1996. What's more terrifying is that he said NIBIRU is real. He called it Hercules, and he said it was coming. He first mentioned it in the 1940s, 4 decades before NASA's first ever announcement. Now you can watch this very interesting footage, which was an interview with him in his last years.
Algo muy interesante es que usted hizo un estudio y trazó con cálculos y con todo la órbita de este cometa planeta. Porque usted nos habla y nos dice que es cometa planeta porque su movimiento no es algo normal.
No.
Que tiene unas velocidades.
Es un cometa planeta porque tiene órbita elíptica como cometa y porque tiene gran masa.
Como planeta.
Como planeta. Yo lo llamo entonces planeta cometa. O sea, un planeta con cola.
Explica Muñoz Ferrada que este gran astro que se acerca cargado de energía cósmica no cumple las leyes de la mecánica celeste establecidas. Posee una órbita elíptica y viaja entre nuestro Sol y un Sol negro que se encuentra a 32 billones de kilómetros.
Entonces aquí en este gráfico usted nos muestra, en el gráfico, ¿verdad?, de que en este lado está la Tierra, la órbita de nuestra Tierra alrededor del Sol.
Sí, señor.
Y que él penetra en la órbita terrestre, aquí, pasando muy cerca de nuestra Tierra. Entonces tarda de
14 millones de kilómetros.
14 millones de kilómetros. Entonces acá usted, en su gráfico, nos presenta lo que es la estrella muerta, o el Sol muerto. En ese Sol muerto, él gira.
Aquí a 92 kilómetros por segundo.
Entonces, además de esos 92 kilómetros por segundo, él tiene otra velocidad, que es la más aterradora, ¿verdad? Que es la que se mueve muy rápido.
Tiene 3 velocidades, hombre.
Muñoz Ferrada confirma que este planeta viaja a 3 velocidades. Una alrededor del Sol Negro a 92 kilómetros por segundo. Otra cerca de nuestro Sol a 76 kilómetros por segundo. Y una tercera velocidad máxima.
Lo máximo lo tiene en la mitad de la órbita. A 300 kilómetros por segundo. O sea, 1/1000 de la velocidad de la luz.
Eso es rápido.
Pronto acontecerá un evento que permitirá que el Hercólobus pueda verse a simple vista.
Este cuerpo no va a pasar desapercibido, todo el mundo lo va a ver.
Y va a haber gran confusión.
Más que confusión.
Y le van a dar un sinnúmero de interpretaciones a este asunto.
Muchas.
Los astrónomos dirán que lo que se verá es Marte o cualquier otro planeta, pero en realidad es el Hercólobus.
¿Qué consecuencias sobre nuestro planeta?
Las más terroríficas.
Luego,
Cada cual arrégleselas como pueda.
Muñoz Ferrada pronostica 3 grandes terremotos.
He calculado 3 puntos triangulados de alta sismicidad que se aproximan. El norte de la costa del Mediterráneo, Francia y España. la costa sur del Pacífico, de Valparaíso a Arequipa, y Java, Sumatra y Borneo. 3 puntos. Estos puntos van a ser terremotos de carácter volcánico.
El Hercólubus causará devastadores terremotos y provocará una gran transformación.
El gran campo gravitacional que trae ese astro nuevo, que hace 13.000 años que no penetró y que 13.000 años atrás fue los tiempos de la Atlántida perdida, tiene resonancia y efectos que a los reflejos, que a la debilidad. Queda el gran cambio.
Ese gran cambio, el cual usted viene estudiando desde 1940, ¿verdad? Que viene estudiando ese astro. Van 59 años de documentación. Ese gran cambio es humano, además es a la Tierra, porque indica un cambio de polos.
Es geofísico y humano.
Geofísico y humano. Y se habla de que va a haber un cambio de los polos magnéticos de la Tierra.
Son tantas las cosas que lamentable la humanidad no está preparada. El cambio viene. La destrucción viene. Y más que nada afectará a la humanidad en su existencia, en su producción, en su subsistencia.
First, I'm going to set the table, so to speak. First of all, let me begin with this. How many of you know that everyone around the world was interested in these 4 blood moons that I discovered, talked about? A lot of people wrote about it, and a lot of people said things that I never said, and people were saying that I was saying that. But what I've always said, and I still very much hold to, is these were signs in the heavens warning mankind of something that was coming soon, all right? Now, let me show you this. The moon's orbit around the Earth is elliptical, okay? It's like it's egg-shaped, so to speak. When the moon, let me go to my little diagram right here. Okay, do you see the moon right here? Okay, there's the moon. Its orbit is elliptical, going around. Now, sometimes when it goes around, it's not always the same amount of distance. It might be like this the next time. So sometimes it's close, sometimes it's far away. When the Earth is at, or the moon is at its furthest point from Earth, it's called the apogee. It's a long ways away. When it's at its closest point to Earth, it's called perigee. Okay, everyone got that? Okay. Now, whenever you see the sun, the earth, and the moon in a straight line, it becomes a great Scrabble word. Syzygy. Okay? Now, but if you go back and look here, you know, the moon is over here. Here's the sun, we're saying, right in here, glowing this way. The moon is here. The Earth is here. It's not in syzygy. It's not in direct alignment. You know, when the moon is in direct alignment between the Earth and the sun, we get an eclipse, right? Okay. Now, we are about to see a record-breaking super moon. It's the biggest in nearly 70 years. Now, the moon looks real big if it's seen just over the horizon. If it's real high in the sky, it doesn't look like a big supermoon because it's so high in the sky. So the best time to see a supermoon and looks really big is if you're up when it just crests the horizon. Now, how many of you know the number 70 is very significant? Well, here's a news article. Well, first, let me tell you this. Normally, scientifically, you only get like 1 supermoon every year in a couple of months. It so happens this year we have 3 supermoons in a row. There's one in October, there's one in November, and there's one in December. but the one in November is the super duper moon. Okay? What is meant by a super moon? A super moon is when it is a full moon, okay, and it's at its closest point to Earth. If it's a full moon and it's at apogee, if it's far away, that doesn't make as much of a difference if it's at perigee. If it's at its closest point to Earth and it's a full moon, now it looks really big because it's closer, right? Okay. We have 3 full moons in a row that all appear at apogee. But this one in November is special. Okay, what do we find? First off, it's the same night we have Ari Abramowitz. Now, supposedly, because we're going on daylight savings time, according to science data, the sunset is going to be here in Seattle about 4:30 in the afternoon, and the moon rises at 5:18. So here in Seattle, if it's not cloudy, that's a big if, you'll be able to take a picture of this super moon coming up over the horizon an hour before we meet with Ari Abramowitz. Okay, now here's a newspaper article, I believe. It says, we're about to see a record-breaking supermoon, the biggest, like I said, in nearly how many years? It's the closest full moon in this century. Now look at this next paragraph. If you only see one astronomical event this year, make it the November supermoon, when the moon will be the closest to its Earth since it's been, since January, what year? Wow. 70 years, right before Israel becomes a nation. Here we have these 3 super moons in a row. All right, the biggest one is just in a week and a half on Monday night, November 14th. It says here at the bottom that it won't happen again until November of 2034. Okay? So I just wanted to point out that you have 3 supermoons in a row, with the biggest one happening this next week, right before the flood takes place, biblically. Okay. Now here's just this, I am not endorsing any presidential candidate here, but I'm just stating a fact. The inauguration ceremony for president is on January 20th of 2017. It is every year, with the celebration to follow. The next president, whoever that may be, their first full day in office will be the following day, January 21st, 2017. Everyone follow me? It just so happens. On June 14th, 2016, Donald Trump turned 70 years old. So on January 14th, Donald Trump will be 70 years and 7 months old and 7 days on the inauguration day. Now, I just think that's fact. This is a fact. Donald Trump will be 70 years old, 7 months and 7 days old, his first day in office. Now, I'm not endorsing a candidate. I am just telling you that this is fascinating. This kind of stuff fascinates me. Now, here's the next thing. The number 7, as you know, is very significant. In Hebrew, the 7th letter is Zayin, and it means a weapon. Okay? It even looks like a weapon. You can see the little white Zayin within the handle of the axe. So here's what's fascinating. Here, the word zamar, the first letter of the word to sing is zamar in Psalms 9:11. The Zion also represents to prune, Leviticus 25:3. Now this year in Hebrew is 5777. 777. Okay? Now, what you realize, what Hebrew letter is the 7th letter? Zayin. 777. The first digit is 5. Okay? And the 5 means, hey, to behold. So here, this year means to behold, weapon, weapon, weapon. Warfare, warfare, warfare. The last time, 70 years ago, we had this big supermoon was before Israel went to war. In 1948, 70 years ago. Now, what's fascinating, there's an anomaly in Hebrew, as many of you that have been around know, that there are letters that are big, there are letters that are small, letters that are upside down and backwards that do not get translated into English. Well, one of the places where the Zayin is really big, the only time it appears really big, is in Malachi 4 and 5, and it's the word zikron or zikru here, to remember. It's the word to remember. And what are we supposed to remember? The Torah of Moses. Okay, and this has to do with, behold, I send you Elijah the prophet. Now, the word Zion refers to warfare, as I said, or it's a weapon. What this is telling us, the greatest weapon we have in the last days is to remember the Torah of Moses. This is why the devil doesn't want us to have anything to do with it, because in the times we're about to enter, it is our greatest weapon that we have. There's more. Remember the 7 spirits of God. Okay, Isaiah 11:2 talks about the 7 spirits of God. What do we know from 2 Corinthians 10:4? The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God, through the pulling down of strongholds, right? We're to have involved in spiritual warfare, correct? So one of the things I think we need to realize, with the fact that this coming year that we're in right now is 5777, which all represent Zayins and weapons and weapons and weapons, it also means to sing, it also means to prune. What God is telling us, this is the year that God is going to do a lot of pruning in the church. It's pruning time. But our warfare is to sing the Psalms. Okay, we need to be concentrating and remembering the Torah of Moses and praising Him. Now, in case you didn't know, in your Torah scrolls and the like, there's these little toggans that are over certain letters. Okay? So these are how many of you ever seen those in Torah scrolls? What the sages say is each one of those are actually little Zions, or weapons, spiritual weapons. Okay? Now, how many of you know Psalms 91? How many of you know it's a warfare psalm? Is Psalms 91 a warfare psalm? You guys know this, right? Nowhere in the entire psalm is there a letter Zion. And so people would think, well, wait a minute. If that is a warfare psalm, why are there no Zions in it? Guess what? Do you see on, I don't know if you could really see on this, those little toggans? See the little toggans? Here, let me use my little color here. Do you see how the little 3, there we go. Do you see this one has the toggans on it? You can see this one has it on it, this one has it on it, this one has it on it, this one, this one, this one. Okay, this is verse 12 of Psalm 91, and it has 7 letters, a total of 23 Zions on top doing spiritual warfare. In Psalms 91, it has more of these letters with the toggans implying a spiritual battle that is going on in the heavenlies. And so, let me go back. So basically, when we recite Psalms 91, the Zions function as spiritual weapons. Okay, we have 777 this year, I believe, is going to be the year of warfare. Not only could be physical warfare. Again, the last time this moon happened was right before Israel became a nation and went to war. So what we need to do is protect ourselves, right? Physically, spiritually. And how many of you sometimes get fed up with the devil and you just want to crush him? I think the church has been battered, and I think it's time for us to get mad. I think it's time to get mad, and we need to realize we need to do spiritual warfare. And because of all these Zions that is in Psalm 91, like I said, whenever you recite it, these Zions are functioning as spiritual weapons that you are fighting with. So with that said, let's stand and let's pray Psalms 91, and pray it every day. I'm telling you, pray Psalm 91 every day. This is going to be your spiritual warfare for protection this year. So together, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. For he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his feathers. Under his wings you will take refuge. His faithfulness is your shield and rampart. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that wastes at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only look with your eyes and see the recompense of the wicked, because you have made the Lord your refuge and the Most High your dwelling place. No evil shall happen to you, neither shall any plague come near your dwelling. For he will put his angels in charge of you to guard you in all your ways. They will bear you up in their hands so that you won't dash your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the young lion and the serpent underfoot. Because he has set his love on me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high because he has known my name. He will call on me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. I will satisfy him with long life and show him my Yeshua. Amen.
Seek.
Dave Dobbs here, aka David Field from About Laughing Gas. It's 5th of June 2016 today, and I want to give you my most up-to-date timeline of NIBIRU, because there's a lot of stuff coming out. There's something coming out on TV on the 7th of June, Tuesday the 7th of June, which is a Channel 4 thing, which is a look at my brother and myself's kind of our lifestyle, and in it I talk a lot about NIBIRU, and so I think a lot of people are going to be curious about where I stand on the subject of NIBIRU since making that film, because another sighting has come into place. And so it's really been quite an exciting discovery of seeing how this thing unfolds and what this thing is doing and all its movements. And I haven't got it right. I'm not correct in this estimate. It's what I understand so far, and that's all I've ever been given or giving in the information, is what I'm getting up to a certain point. And I've just been able to isolate up until now. I've only been able to isolate a 200-day cycle in NIBIRU, going around whatever this second thing is. So let me show you the cycle and take you around so you're completely up to date. Okay, so let's just run the whole loop from 2010 right up to 2016, where I'm assuming this kind of exits the central hub of our solar system. So we're just looking at the general movement of Nemesis coming over the top of the sun, with this thing circling around it, coming rapidly up to 2016 now. And we're going to go again and explore this a little bit more deeply to understand this date and this point right here, why we arrive at this point, all these different sightings that we've seen along the way to arrive at this point. Okay, so let's run 2010 through and pause it right there. And so what you're actually seeing there is Nemesis coming up behind the sun. We're basically at the end of 2010, coming into 2011. Nemesis coming up behind the sun. Okay then, so we go into 2011, and March 2011. Now I don't know if the angle of this is exactly like this. It could easily be like this, which means in March 2011 whatever that big thing is, our second sun, would be very close to Earth at that stage, might possibly explain Fukushima. Okay, so let's continue round in 2011 to 5th of August. And we see this sighting here. Okay, so seeming as this was the first real sighting that I've had of what I think is NIBIRU circling around Nemesis, and we only see it in the highest point. So if we take the 5th of August 2011, if we take that as the first sighting, and I've worked out this 200-day cycle, so just see if this cycle works. Take 5th of August 2011, add 200 days and times it by 10. Okay, so let's keep going to the next sighting, which is on the 2nd of February 2012. Now, it's very worth noting here because both these sightings, the first one on the 5th of August and this second one on the 2nd of February 2012, the following year, were both listed as possible sightings of Comet Ellen. So we were expecting that to fly by. We were told that's going to be a big thing in our sky, and this shows up. If it's on the 200-day cycle, we'd be expecting it on Tuesday the 21st of February 2012, which means on a 200-day cycle we'd be 19 days out. So let's keep going to the next point on our timeline, which is the 8th of September 2012. So it's worth noting there we have no witness flyby whatsoever on that date, so we're missing one at that point. So let's keep going to the 14th February 2013 and take a look at this piece of footage, which is also very interesting.
So weird, man. It's a flock of birds, doesn't it, with people? See, they look like they're moving now, but it's taken them so long to go that far. They should have been out of our frame of reference like minutes ago, like 20 minutes ago or something. I mean, they're moving so freaking slow. It's so weird, man. Did you take that picture?
Look at the birds.
Look at the birds. Ooh, get it with the birds.
And this comes at a very interesting time.
As a reference.
So, on our 200-day prediction cycle, we'd be expecting the 27th of March 2013, but it came on 14th February 2013. And that means basically it's 42 days out. So it arrived 42 days earlier than the scheduled 200-day time. Now that could have happened for multiple reasons, but we were all expecting Comet Ison at that stage. It actually turned up on Valentine's Day, 14th of February, and you know what came before the day before that? The big Russian meteorite. I think it was on the 13th of February 2013. Okay, so let's keep going around, and we come to the next sighting, which is on the 14th of October 2000.
Okay, here it is again.